Oh, the wild, wild NFC West. With the Niners idle this week, could the winner of the LA Rams in Seattle decide the division crown? But are we discounting the Cardinals a little too early?
Lions and the Packers, a good old NFC North slobber knocker. Both teams looking for supremacy in the NFC. Who will come out on top this week?
Normally, when you get halfway through the season and you only have one win, it's time to start thinking about the draft and not winning games. Not saying teams tank, but it's up there. I guess the Panthers and Titans didn't get that memo.
Buffalo and Miami. Both teams have playoff aspirations. Both teams are taking a different path. Who will survive this AFC East battle?
Week 9, Sunday Scaries with Buccs McGee, sorting through all the mayhem and chaos. And my, there was a quite bit of that.
Good Lord, good Lord. I guess it's just another week in the NFL. I don't know. The game that I believe saved the league, not many people probably would have believed would have been Miami and Buffalo.
No, it
No,
was actually reverse, like changing places with another game that we thought would be competitive.
exactly. Just another fun week in the NFL, Nutmeg. What's going on?
Well, I mean, the silver lining, I guess we got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. There's some tidbits, some nuggets of fun.
Yeah, so let's there's a lot, so we'll jump right into it. Let's start off with this NFC North clash. We were expecting it to be pretty competitive. The Packers came in 6-2, only a half game behind the Lions. And I could take this one of two ways. One, of course, the weather was disgusting out in Lambeau, so that's hard for anyone to play in. But I can look at this like, okay, the Lions are the team of destiny. They just keep rolling, 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 and they did what they had, and they did what they do. Or I can look at the Packers from the Packers fan and be like, well, maybe the Packers were just you're not ready for prime time yet, and you were just overmatched against this Super Bowl contender.
With the weather, the way it played out, you wouldn't have thought that the Lions were the dome team. Like let's be honest. Like Jared Goff was comfortable. They're making plays. Like like you said, just a machine rolling. Green Bay, not so much. Love with the groin injury. Honestly, probably shouldn't have played. Let's be realistic. Like I don't think he should have played. I think it was a situation where, all right, he plays and it's like this rah rah thing, it's a big matchup. But I think Malik could have played. Malik showed that he could handle this team and probably would have done better. I honestly think. I think Malik would have done better.
Yeah, and to tie the two things together, especially with the weather being the way it was, there's almost like no justification to playing Love because when the ground's slippery, it's wet, it's hard to get your feet set and traction, that sort of thing. A groin injury is not exactly gonna fare well in that. So we talked about that off air. I'm like, why didn't they bench him or not? I don't want to say bench him, but
And they got away from the run game. Like it seemed like the first half, there was a lot more Josh Jacobs than there was the second half. Yeah, I know you fell behind a bit, but Jacobs was running well, and it just seemed like all of a sudden we want to see Jordan Love, scramble on a groin that's busted up and heave balls all over the place. And lo and behold, the line said, "All right," and Jared Goff, goes for like 78, 79% completion rate is normal, and
yeah.
they do what they do, and the Lions continue to prove that they are the best team in the NFC.
To that point, I noticed a very intriguing stat at the end of the game that he's completed his last 30 targets to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a touchdown in this one. So, like, we already know, like, Jared Goff's been on this pseudo-perfect streak. Like, there's not been many passing attempts he's missed. But I didn't know he was completely perfect to the sun god.
Like this team really offensively has no holes, man. Like this team is they're just good. Like there's no words to say. Literally, they can run the ball, they can throw the ball, they can spread it around, and it's just who do you stop? Like really, who do you stop in this offense? And their defense is getting better. They do get penalties, but you know what? They can live with those penalties because they're playing man. That's what they said. They wanted to play more of a man kind of defense, and they're getting more physical. And this team is just point blank the best right now.
No holes on offense, but after this one, not a lot of holes on defense either. Do you think did the defense look like legitimate, or did they kind of just were the beneficiary of a sloppy weather game and the Packers looking a little ahead of schedule?
I think the defense did get a little bit of an assist with the weather and the groin of Jordan Love, but I think they're getting better. I think the signing of Carlton Davis, the trade for him, I think was key for that defense. That secondary is slowly getting better. I still think sometimes there could be some holes here and there, but they're tightening things up, and by the end of this season, that defense could be in a top 5 situation.
I did notice that the interception wasn't returned, was it? The interception that Love threw and Ancelotti just manhandled him in the pocket, and I was like, that was another was like that aggressive defense, but also Jordan Love's like, why are you throwing that ball? Just toss it up in the line of scrimmage where anybody can get to it.
It's one of those things where these young guys, and we've talked about this, the young guys have to learn. Sometimes you just throw the ball away, throw it in the dirt, live to play another down. You can't sit there and try to make something out of nothing all the time because it doesn't always work, and especially in those conditions, it doesn't work. But it's another learning lesson for Love.
The joys of doing a live show as the Seattle Seahawks drive down the field. Gino putting on his Superman cape and tying the game at 20 at the end of regulation. Um, when we talked about this game with the Rams, like, okay, this might decide the division because the Niners, they haven't really gotten the groove yet. They're waiting for CMC to come back. Their fingers are crossed that it'll be against your Bucks next week. Um, Jackson Smith Njigba has having a huge game in this one with 150 yards, a couple scores. So, but I guess the bigger the well, I don't necessarily the bigger question, but maybe the undersung question is the Cardinals embarrassed the Bears in this one, and I was figuring the Bears would rebound off that Washington game, especially the heartbreaking way they lost it. I guess not.
No, not at all. They said, you know what, we need another week to figure this out to mourn, so we'll just let Arizona, whoop us up real quick, and that's what happened.
I mean, we'll focus on that one first. Are, are we really discounting the Cardinals? Because I was thinking like the Cardinals are this up and down Jekyll Hyde team. They win one, they lose one. They win one, they lose one. So I'm thinking, okay, they had a big win last week, so this one they'll lose, especially with the Bears seemingly needing rebound.
That's the thing. They're inconsistent, so you don't know which Cardinals team you're going to get week to week. You could get the Cardinals of this week, which looked great against the Bears. Next week, you could get the Cardinals where they can't put up 10 points and they're just a mess. So like you said, it's Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know. I don't know if you can't discount them, but you can't count on them either. So it's kind of like you sit there and you just wait to see what happens.
So you're more siding in the camp of not letting the Cardinals into the discussion quite yet.
I can't. Like if they can win the next 2 out of 3, then okay, then all right, then there's a bit of a conversation. But they're so up and down. Like if they literally go 9-8, okay, well you went 9. It's an improvement for what they are.
Yeah.
From last year, but who knows? Maybe they go on a bit of a run and they're there the last week or 2 of the season where maybe they can make some noise and maybe slip in somehow. But right now, I guess when it comes to that division, yeah, okay, 4-4, that division's a mess. So yeah, they're in the conversation there. But if you're telling overall, I'm not a believer just yet.
Yeah, right now, actually, they'll be tied. They'll be tied with the winner of this one, assuming it doesn't end in a tie, of course.
Had to ruin it for everybody, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry.
Great.
Well, we'll check back in on that one in a moment. So for the time being, we will discuss the disappointments of this Sunday afternoon. And one is, I guess we must have had the kiss of death on this one. We said game of the week. Upstart Broncos are going to roll into Baltimore. Baltimore's coming off of a crushing loss against the Browns, where they forgot Derrick Henry's in the backfield. And not only did they remember Derrick Henry's on the team, but the Broncos were, I don't know what the game plan was, because other than a little cool trickeration play, it didn't seem like they had much of one.
Yeah, I thought that play was great. Shout out to Bo Nix. Looking like a quality receiver there. Able to make that catch for the touchdown. But Baltimore came in and said, "All right, we lost to famous Jameis, and we got to straighten up," and they did. And it may have been their most complete offensive game of the year. Not only did Derrick Henry do what he does best, but Jackson was able to throw the ball around. Flowers looked great overall. Like it was a total offensive effort. The defense played solid. The big thing with Denver is you got to stop the run game, and they forced Bo Nix to beat him with his arm, and he's not there yet. He's a rookie, like you said, valiant effort, but Baltimore came in and made a statement. So, got to give him credit.
Do you think Denver, like the Pack? I mean, obviously to a lesser extent the Packers. Packers made the playoff last year. That the Broncos just aren't ready for prime time, or they get a little bit of pass because Bo Nix is a rookie after all.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready yet. I think some teams probably have taken them lightly this year. There's no doubt about it. I still think they need some pieces, and like you said, Bo Nix is a rookie, so it's gonna be some growth. They still I think need some pieces. They've got decent pieces, but they probably need some beefing up on defense and such. But it's a growing process. Sometimes you got to take your lumps, but still got a winning record, so you got to give them credit.
The question we seem to ask every week: have we seen the real Ravens yet? So you said this was the most complete offensive performance, and for once the defense didn't look like a sieve. So are you confident saying like, okay, Baltimore's back, Baltimore's ready. This is the team that we're going to see the rest of the way and into the postseason, presumably so into the postseason.
You hope so. You hope that Baltimore's finally learned their lesson and said, okay, you know what? We need to give Derrick the ball. Derrick needs to be part of this offense and not just a guest star where he gets the ball 7 to 8 times and that's it, and you hope he does his thing and that's it. Like it's okay to showcase him and have him maybe be the guy in the first half who beats the teams into submission, and then at that point, Lamar can do his thing. And I think that's what they need. I don't know if it's a situation where they're scared and they don't want Lamar to get mad because Lamar's not the main attraction. But if you want a Super Bowl, then you got to just take your shots when you're giving them and go from there.
You have to have balance. I mean, we look at the Chiefs, and Patrick was Superman and whatnot, but when they really looked dominant, it was a balanced attack, and Pacheco kept the train moving.
Exactly, and they have a great defense. So
Right.
Baltimore doesn't have a great defense,
No.
so they're going to rely on that offense. So that means you get everybody involved.
Do you think Lamar is more effective being a 275, 280-yard passer than trying to carry it all and have 150 yards on the ground and a couple touchdowns through the air?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. Because at that point, if the run game isn't hitting on all cylinders, then okay, go ahead, Lamar, do what you do. But if you've got Derrick Henry going for buck 10, buck 15, and a couple touchdowns, Lamar doesn't have to force it because the defenses are saying, okay, well, got to pack the box. Derrick Henry's here, and then at that point, Flowers, Lively, Andrews, those weapons you have, Johnson, who you guys traded for, you've got weapons. At that point, Lamar can throw the ball all wherever he wants.
I gave up on them throwing to Isaiah Likely. He's gone. He's off.
Yeah, most of America after week 1 said, "Yeah, we're done." He might have been the greatest waiver wire pickup after week 1 in the history of fantasy football, and after
Yeah.
that, people said, "Nah, I'm good."
maybe that missing the toe at the back of the end zone in Arrowhead was in his head, has been in his head a little too much.
Hey man, everyone's got to be known for something. Big toe
Uh,
lively.
Big toe lively. The other disappointment this week was one of the feel good stories from last week, the Browns' heroics against those Ravens. And we're thinking like, okay, the Chargers, they've been good this year. Not no disrespect to the Chargers. They've been very good. The defense has been highly improved, but Herbert still does not look like the more talent than God himself could throw down on a quarterback type of Herbert. So we think like, okay, they're going, the Browns got a little juice. They switched to quarterback. Jameis is a steadier hand and a more likable personality than Watson ever was. So and the defense has still been playing pretty well. The Browns have been keeping it close, but the Chargers kind of came in and took care of business. So maybe we were believing the Browns were back a little too quickly.
Oh, I didn't think they were back. I was it was a great story, but I didn't think they were back. Uh, it's one of those things where I think the Browns with Jameis are a quality 500 team at best. I don't think he's the guy who's going to lead them on some deep playoff run, and everyone's going to be like, "Ooh, Cleveland," and all of a sudden it's Cleveland and KC in the AFC Championship game, and everyone's talking about Jameis's LASIK, and it's all this blah blah blah, and he somehow makes the Super Bowl. Like it's not that story. It's a situation where Jameis is what Jameis is. He's a quality journeyman backup kind of guy now. That's what he is. He can give you some starts, keep you in a game. And it just, the Chargers are a team, they're a weird team because, like you said, with Herbert, you would think, okay, he gets back to his, slinging days and, he's going to put up numbers. In this offense, it seems like they don't ask him to do that. They use they use the run, play action, complementary type deal, and it seems to be working for them. And I just think that they just had a game plan and they were able to run. They were able to run the ball today, and that was probably the defining factor in this game. But got to give Jameis his due for last week, but crashed down to earth.
Yeah, the you almost think uh, the fans want to see this young quarterback you're paying all this money to air it out and have some excitement. And I don't know whether like you said, maybe it's a game plan thing with Harbaugh, or if he's maybe like kind of like keeping the tiger at bay and doesn't want to doesn't want to show all his cards.
The offense is very similar to the Michigan offense where he won last year. It wasn't like you were asking JJ McCarthy to throw for 40 times for 350, 400 and like 4 touchdowns. He took his took his spots when he needed to, but then he relied on the run game. So that's what this offense is right now. Plus they have decent wide receivers, but there's nobody that's like, ooh, so maybe it's a situation where he felt, Harbaugh felt, this is what I'm walking into. Let's play to the strengths, and then as I go on through the years, we'll pick up some quality receivers and maybe, unleash the passing game a little more. But for right now, this is what works for them.
Ooh,
Ooh, ah.
I mean, it's hard to say they're still in it for the division with the Chiefs at 7-0, but like what's their realistic playoff chance? Do they have a good shot to hold on to a wild card? Or
I think they do. I think they're one of those teams that has a legitimate wild card shot. Right now, it's them and you guys, the Colts. I think right now today, that's it. Unless Miami catches on fire, which I don't know is going to happen and all. But right now, those two teams, the Chargers, can do it.
And whoever doesn't win the AFC North.
Yeah, whoever bottoms out of that, who knows who that's going to be. But exactly, I think, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be the last, 3 weeks of the season where you're really going to see it, unless one of these teams really, takes off. But right now, yeah, Chargers have a good shot.
Colts could wind up backdooring their way into a postseason berth. Who would have thunk?
You know what? As long as you get your foot in the door, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to
Yeah.
be pretty.
So let's talk about some surprises and ones that maybe that's not just surprising from the fact that these teams have won, but surprising from the standpoint of why are they winning. The Carolina Panthers, and not that the Saints were a threat to your Bucks this
Go
year.
ahead, Dave
But
Canales. Congratulations, buddy. Congratulations, Dave.
not that they were a threat to your Buccaneers this season, but I'm sure it always brings a smile to your face whenever the Saints lose.
Oh, this was good, man. This was good. This was like a victory Monday, man. It was good. It was good.
It's almost like yeah, that's right. Considering your Bucks are playing on Monday, this is kind of your victory Monday, right?
Oh, you can say their name. You can say the name, the Chiefs, former Super Bowl champs, whatever. But still,
I wasn't calling it. I wasn't calling anything.
It's not like it's Beetlejuice. You don't say their name 3 times and pop up like it's the
Mahomes.
Yeah. Hi ho. But you got to give them credit. You eked out a win. Bryce Young looking like a quarterback, able to pull this out. I feel bad for Chris Olave though. On a serious note, like that's he's been dealing with concussion issues, and for them to have to cart him out like that, it's one of those things where now you always have to sit there and say yeah, you don't like this team for whatever reasons, but when you see a guy out like that, a guy who's as talented as he is, you hope he comes back. But when you're dealing with concussions like that, it's like a Tua situation. You don't know what's going to happen.
And he got his bell rung.
Yeah, it goes to show the kind of guy he is. He's going to go there and stick his nose in it and try to make the play. So you respect it, but you hopefully he comes out okay. But again, just goes to show you how great Derek Carr is.
Well, speaking of Derek Carr, do you blame him at all for leaving Olave out to dry like that?
I don't think. I hate blame. It's not like he meant to, but I think Derek Carr. It just shows you Derek Carr. He's trying to win. Like I get it, but if you're a quarterback, you need to be able to see that and say, "Hey, I can't make that throw. This guy's about to get his head wrong, and he's got concussion issues. Like he was going to wear a Guardian cap. Like let's be real. Like the guy's fragile. Mm-hmm. Like you don't make that throw, But it's football at the same time, and people who hear that are going to say, "Well, it's football. That's what you do. That's what you get paid the big bucks for." It's really a fine line. So. I don't think you throw it, but they're trying to win a game. So, of course, he's going to throw it, and he's going to hope that Olave makes the catch.
What kind of internal problems are with the Saints? Because normally a moment like that happens on the field, and it, invigorates the team to kind of like, win one for the Gipper, so to speak. So they obviously did not. I mean, they hung around. It was a close game, but they didn't pull it out at the end, and they lost to the lowly Panthers and Bryce Young, who, like you said, he finally looked like a quarterback, but we've been making fun of him for the whole season for not looking like a quarterback. So, are there like some internal strife that maybe like, okay, maybe the juice and the passion's not here for this team?
Fact is, the Saints aren't good. Like people need to okay. If this doesn't tell you honestly, for all you people out there who are, oh man, the Saints, they could take. People who were saying the Saints were going to take the division, the Saints were going to do this, the Saints can still do that. This goes to show you that the Saints aren't good. Derek Carr is not good. You guys keep pushing money around, trying to keep guys who aren't good. It's time just to let the thing burn and just start from scratch. Like legit, like let it all burn, let the guys go, take the hit, be bad for 2 or 3 years and move on. Like there's no way they're turning this around. They're not very good. They're not. And if Olave's out, that basically that kills whatever season you had, because offensively, besides Kamara, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Shahid's already out, I think. He was hurt a few weeks ago or something.
And then where's Taysom Hill? He's a phenom. Taysom Hill's gonna save your team, and that's another one. He
scored today. He scored.
Hooray for him. And then you won't hear from him for 3 weeks because they Mr. Gadget guy. Oh, he could be a quarterback. He could be this. Well, you know what? Maybe he should have been your quarterback.
Yeah.
And not Derek Carr.
Gonna say.
But no, the Saints are just bad, and that's it. And I congratulate Dave Canales and the Panthers. Great job. Thank
The
you.
other the other team that won today that probably shouldn't have been thinking about winning is the Titans. But I guess in that kind of game, someone has to win. And if you just score enough points, you'll probably wind up beating the Patriots because we know that offense will eventually sputter. Drake May or no Drake May.
Okay, so in overtime, the idea is not to let somebody score. The idea is not to let Tony Pollard run right up the middle, literally for like 7 or 8 straight plays. And then at that point, you stopped them. They kicked the 3. Okay, so you're thinking, okay, New England's got a shot here. I don't blame Drake May. I don't blame him at all. I think he played a solid game. He just doesn't have the pieces. He really doesn't. That throw at the end, okay, maybe a little ill-advised, but if he has a decent wide receiver, maybe at least the play gets broken up. I don't blame him 100%. He's still a rookie, but New England told everybody we weren't going to be good. New England sat there and said, we're not going to be good. This is who we are. There's going to be growing pains, so don't expect anything. And this is what you're going through. So I think you're probably going to see some movement at the trade deadline. They're probably going to sell off whatever pieces they can to get draft capital and then just rebuild from there. But you can't blame Drake May. He played decent, but the Titans should have been better than New England in the first place.
That's true. The Patriots called their tank after all, like you said.
Exactly. They said, "Oh, number 1 seed, here we come."
That's final. We'll get back to that in a moment. The other I wanted, since you brought it up, I wanted to take a little jab here at the Cowboys because Tony Pollard up the middle. Tony Pollard's actually looking like a pretty respectable running back. You think the Cowboys could have used him? Could have used him this year?
Unbelievable. Dallas fans just rock the star. That's what it's all about. You guys don't care. Ridiculous. You sit there and you keep Zeke home, basically suspended him for the game for what I forget what it was, what they technically. Basically, I guess he did something during the week and they said, nope, we don't want you. We don't want you around.
Behavioral. Yeah,
behavioral. So they said, you stay home. So he's staying home. And then at that point, you had Rico Dowdle there. Brought up from the practice squad. Had a touchdown. Like, the guy tried. I give the guy credit. Like, he was there working hard. But
Dowdle's been there the whole year. Dalvin Cook's the one that was occupying space on the practice squad.
Yeah, like where was he? Everyone was like, "Ooh, we signed Dalvin Cook. Ooh, this guy could be." Yeah, absolutely nothing. He's nothing either. Like what?
Last week.
Unbelievable. And the guy who you should have signed is over there busting touchdowns in Baltimore. But that's okay because you didn't want to sign him because you didn't have the money because you waited too long because you wanted to sit there and have a peeing contest with Dak and CeeDee. So now CeeDee's got a bum shoulder. Who knows what's going to happen with him? And then Dak's hand or hamstring's all shot. Like literally, Cooper Rush next week, folks. Get ready for it.
Yeah, just to open up the wallet anyway.
Your $60 million man's going to be on one side. The $35, $40 million guy is going to be on the other bench. There you go. Your season's done.
Well, that's a good place to move into this topic, the close games, and I guess we'll stay on topic with those Cowboys because the Falcons got out of this one, and I don't necessarily think I don't want to say the Falcons survived because I thought the Cowboys had a legitimate shot the whole time, but the Falcons survived because I wasn't expecting the score to be that close at all. I mean, we know how bad the Dallas defense is. I thought the Falcons would live large here, and they did for a while, and maybe they just went into prevent mode and let their foot off the gas, but
it was just ugly. Like the point blank, Cowboys are horrible. The Falcons should have beat them. There's just nothing to it. There's nothing to say about this game. Basically, the Falcons did what they should have done, what they were supposed to do. The Cowboys are an absolute mess. No one in America at all should think this team has any playoff aspirations. They're just a jumbled mess. They're a high-priced collection of athletes. No type of talent, honestly. Um, and they're in for it because don't forget they've still got to sign Mika. They got to sign Parsons to his contract soon. So they're gonna have three guys and that's it. Like literally, like what are you gonna do? Like you have three guys and nothing else. Can't run the ball. No one else catches the ball besides CD, and it's bad. It's bad there in Dallas. So give Atlanta credit. They did what they needed to do, and they picked this team apart.
Yeah, I mean when it comes down, it's getting to the point where playing Dallas is just like, listen, you're playing a bad team, just beat them.
Yeah, you at this point they're not good, so there's no reason to go into a game when you're playing Dallas and you're scared because all you've got to do is stop CeeDee Lamb. That's all you have to do. Nothing else. Their defense is not good.
Maybe Dak should almost play up this injury now and be like, yeah, I'm hurt. I'm not going to play, just to preserve himself from not getting hurt worse.
I'm gonna be honest. If Dallas could somehow work their way out of that contract and trade him, I would. Like literally, as a franchise, get you some picks, move on. Like really, like that team is not built to sustain any type of run. Right now in your division, you may be the worst team in your division.
Yeah, certainly not built to contend for a Super Bowl and have the luxury of overpaying for a quarterback like the Chiefs do.
They're not even built to compete for a wild card. They're not built for it. They're not built to win 5 games, 6 games. Like they're horrible. Like just horrible. Oh Lord.
Mike McCarthy's hoping he gets fired pretty soon and not on Black Monday.
That man's gonna start throwing games. He's gonna be like, I don't care. I'm done with this mess. He's like, whoever wants this job, come and take it.
The other close games, one I know you're excited to talk about because you rather enjoyed this one, and this one should not have been enjoyable because the Bills should have wiped the floor with the Dolphins. But why was this game even remotely close?
Miami's defense came to play. And what's crazy is like Tua couldn't throw the ball. Like it was bad. Like literally, like again, another week of Hill and Waddle doing close to nothing for the first like almost 3/4 of the game. And it was the run game. Achane was doing his thing. And then after that, it was the pass game was rough, but the defenses made it entertaining. I give Miami credit at that aspect, but I just don't know if Tua just doesn't have it yet or what's going on. But Buffalo eked it out, even though Josh threw for 3 touchdowns. It was the quietest 3 touchdowns I've ever seen in a game.
Yeah, were there a lot of turnovers in this? Like close, like situations where the Bills should have scored and they didn't because of an untimely turnover?
Well, it was that, and like I said, Miami's defense kind of stood out a little bit. So they're kicking some, you hold them to a field goal, and there was some turnovers. It was one of those good AFC East games. That's honestly it was. It was, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic or anything or mean or rude about it.
Like we used to watch.
Yeah, exactly. It was. Miami held their own, but Josh puts on the cape and does what he does and pulls it off. So, I think Buffalo's, continuing that trend of being that hard-nosed kind of team, and Josh will, make something happen. Would have liked to see a little more out of the run game, a bit more, but hey, it's a divisional win. You take it.
That's right. They're not always the easiest thing to come by.
Nope.
The other close game that I didn't know whether I was kind of tepid in thinking that this one was going to be a blowout because Washington, the Giants, they're not a good team this year, of course, but their defense has been playing superbly. So and the Giants do usually historically do play well against Washington. So I kind of thought like, okay, maybe this will be closer than it probably should be. It may be a little deceiving just from that aspect. Plus Washington barely getting out of the last game, but apparently Washington had a little juice up their backside, and I mean, it kind of wound up being a little closer than it was, but they were out in front for quite a bit of the game.
It's weird to say, to use the words with Washington, trap game.
Yeah, I
Like,
know.
let's be real, because Washington's been bad for so long. It's like, oh man, they're the ones who are usually like, if someone plays them, oh, maybe this is a trap
Yeah,
game. Watch, they can eke it out.
I was gonna say they're normally the trap for somebody else.
But I know exactly what you were thinking. I'm like, oh, this is the game where all of a sudden Danny Dimes lights it up and he throws for 330 and he throws for like 3 touchdowns, and all of a sudden the Giants look good for 1 week. And there were points where Danny scrambled a little, was throwing the ball, but I think this shows how Washington's grown in the sense where they were able to, take the hits that the Giants were giving them, and they were able to, sustain drives and score. You got to give Daniels and those guys credit. They played well.
Yeah, well, to that point, interesting note I heard about Danny Dimes when he threw the touchdown pass. Apparently, that was his first touchdown pass at home in 672 days.
It's
Like
wow.
the state of the Giants.
Wow, that's sad. Well, I guess if you really want to drive for the first round pick, for the number one pick, I guess that's how you do it. That's
Yeah, and thanks to the Titans and the Panthers, you now have a legitimate shot at it.
There you go. Send some edible arrangements to those guys and be like, thank you. I don't know. It's the Giants are they're bad. They're just bad. They're a mess. I don't think it's necessarily the coach. I think honestly, I think it's the front office. I think, and we've talked about this. You made the mistake of letting Saquon walk. You really haven't improved anything. You had some injuries on the O line, but I think some of the decisions of the front office have really hindered this team, and they don't have the pieces. The defense is solid. They're great as a group, as a sum of their parts. Individually, yeah, you're going to be hard pressed to find a Pro Bowler. You're like, oh, who's the guy? But those guys play well together defensively. They keep you in games, but the offense just can't score.
And Philly barely survived Jacksonville in this one, mind-blowingly as that might be. So, does that make you all the more confident that Washington should be the favorite here to close this out?
I think right now, yeah, honestly, like you can't trust Philly. Like you said, 1 week they're great. They're Jekyll and Hyde. They're great 1 week, or at least better than decent. And then when they started out this game against Jacksonville, I thought, oh man, I thought the route was on. You got Saquon jumping backwards in midair, hurdling people. I'm like, well, oh man, at that point they were up like 13 or 14, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, let's make it closer than it is. Let's get all Sirianni-ish, and then all hell breaks loose, and they somehow survive. So yeah, right now it's between Washington and Philly, and I can't wait for that first, that Washington Philly game. I think that's going to be crazy. I love Washington. I think these guys are great. They have a nice blend of youth and veteran, and I think they have a real shot of winning this division.
Yeah, their defense for the second week in a row hasn't looked that bad. I mean, they let the Giants back in this one because the game was over, but I mean, the second week in a row where this porous defense actually looked fairly competitive.
They're getting better. If that defense can play like this, they've got a shot at the division. I don't think they're going to go. I don't think they'll go far in the playoffs, but I think they could. I think they can win the division.
Yeah. So we'll revisit that now final Rams game. We talked to Geno Smith. He put on his Superman cape and led the tying touchdown drive at the end of regulation. Sure enough, overtime, Matt Stafford puts on his Superman cape and leads a drive down the field. And I thought at this point they were within 5 yards of field goal range. I was like, let's kick the field goal, get the heck out of here. But they went for the jugular. So we almost had a kiss of death situation, being so high on the Rams on Thursday, but we almost did. But the Rams sure enough saved their skins on that one.
At the end of the day, it's these teams are, especially in the NFC West, they're playing for survival right now. So
Hmm.
this game is key, and for the Rams to pull it out, they've got to feel good about themselves. Seattle, I think, really misses DK with the injury and such. I think you're kind of starting to see that Seattle is going to have to really retool some aspects. Gino did what Gino does. He kept them in the game. That's all you can ask. That's how that offense is built. But Matt Stafford, man, the guy's living on one arm, and when it's time, he delivers.
Yeah, force fed JSN as he would be, but I think imagine like if Gino could throw to JSN that much, imagine what the offense could be if it was that and then DK on the other side.
Well, here's the thing. They've had that, and for some reason, it just seemed like it was the DK show, and then like it just didn't seem like there was a flow. So I don't know. Like they've got pieces. Like their receiving core is solid. Like they have a solid three in the receiving core. The running backs are solid. I just don't know what the disconnect is. Their defense is okay, but I don't. They just can't put it all together.
Almost reminds you a little bit of Philadelphia with two all pro level receivers, and they just don't switch it around a lot.
Yeah, they just decided not to throw the ball to him. I don't know. That's Sirianni ball, man.
Yeah. So I mean, here we have Rams and Cardinals. They're now tied atop the division. Uh, and we'll get into the Cardinals. We already touched on that, but they Rams are solidified. You're not wavering from your stance on Thursday. They're in a better position to challenge the Niners and maybe knock them off the perch.
Right now, yeah. As long as Puka's not getting thrown out of games and such, yeah. As long as they're healthy, I think the Rams are the team that can knock off the Niners right now.
He was a wide receiver and not a professional wrestler.
Yeah, that's right. Puka Reigns.
Puka Reigns.
Puka Reigns from the bloodline.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, this team can hold together this competitiveness, and you've got a quarterback that knows how to win and lead close games. He, might just have enough left in his arm for one last hoorah.
They've got pieces. If the defense holds up and they can keep Stafford standing up, they've got a shot. Like I said, the Niners are decimated with injuries and such. Wide receiver is really a rough spot for them. I'm assuming they may try to go after somebody, trade deadline, possibly, but they're hurting, so it's going to be interesting. It's going to be whoever survives.
Yeah. Now we already talked about the Colts game on Thursday quite a bit, so we'll if you if you want to hear an update on that, we'll check out the morning show on Spotify and Apple Podcasts for a reaction to this night game. But we'll spend a little time touching on your game on Monday. This now obviously Tampa's defense has had some growing pains this year, left a lot to
Mm-hmm.
be desired. But the Kansas City offense hasn't exactly hit fire on all cylinders either. So, given that scenario, are you nervous with your defense, or you think okay, maybe it's going to be a little bit more of an even match with a struggling offense and a struggling defense?
Oh, this is going to be a fun one. It's going to be interesting. Like honestly, it's going to be a situation of whether we need to run the ball. Got to be able to run the ball. Chiefs defense is great. You got to give them credit. Their defense is why they're 7-0. No one's going to sit there and say it's the offense. So it's a situation of we just got to be able to run the ball, get first downs, don't make any stupid mistakes. If we can keep it close, I think we got a shot. I say that every week because I think it's true with any team, but it's going to be interesting to see how we go up against this Chiefs defense.
With that defense being the key to their success this season, are you concerned that they will give Baker fits on Monday night, especially considering the amount of weapons he's without right now?
I'm a bit concerned, but I also need to see what this offense is in flux because we don't have Godwin, we don't have Evans, so it's going to be a situation of the running game is will they move White? Move him out more to a receiver type role? Is it going to be the Bucky Irvin show?
Well, Bucky's banged up too.
Yeah, we've got we got guys that are banged up, so it's going to be interesting to see what we do. I think they're going to probably go to a little more tight end, a little more Kate Odden. So it's going to be tough. Like there's no doubt about it. It's going to be tough, but you got to go in with what you got and just see. You never know.
This is not the greatest back-to-back for your Bucks, having to deal with the Chiefs and then the Niners next week. Presumably,
Niners are whack, man. Get out of here. The Niners are whack. I ain't worried about the Niners. The Niners are whack.
Not even with McCaffrey potentially.
No, you know back? What? He's gonna stub his toe. He'll be out another 6 weeks. They're gonna because they're gonna run him into the ground, even past the Bucks, because the wide receivers are beat to heck. They're gonna run someone into the ground. It's gonna be all Kittle. It's gonna be a Kittle show because all of a sudden they remembered they had George Kittle. So we take it one game at a time. One game at a time.
George Kittle, one of the funniest people in the NFL.
Oh man, I love George Kittle. I love George Kittle. I think he's great. He's just he says what he says, and that's it. And he just plays the game.
Devise the perfect game plan in your eyes to beat Kansas City here.
Beat Kansas City. All right.
What are 3 things that need to go absolutely perfect in order to come out with a victory?
All right. Can't turn the ball over. That's with any team, but you don't turn the ball over. You keep Travis at bay. You still have to, because last week he actually kind of erupted a bit. So you still got to keep Travis at bay.
Especially now that he doesn't have anyone else to throw to.
Yeah. And you can't, and you gotta keep an eye on Mahomes, because there's always those 1 or 2 runs where he runs for the first down, and for some reason teams forget about him, and then there he is scampering down the sideline, and it's like, really, like you guys didn't know this was going to happen. So,
like the one thing this season that's actually going according to script for Mahomes.
And then he runs it, and I'm like, really, you guys had him at like 3rd and 14, and you let him run for 15 yards. Okay, great defense, guys. So it's one of those things. I think those are key. And that's what I'm looking at. I don't want to say I'm not worried about him throwing the ball, but I think it's one of those things where you still keep an eye on it. You can't say, we can't worry about it, whatever. He's not going to, because he hasn't been the Mahomes of old. Even with, D-Hop there now. D-Hop may help out a little bit. D-Hop isn't elite speed, but D-Hop is sure-handed. Still has elite hands.
Playbook, too.
Yep, and you got to watch Worthy. If he slips behind, he's going to burn you. So you got to play. You can't play scared, but you got to be cautious.
My caveat to Worthy is Patrick's actually got to look at him. He still doesn't always necessarily look at his side of the field.
They just if they let him run straight down the field, he's gonna and that's what his role is.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I'd like to see some development in that guy. Like let him run some routes. Like make him count to 2 and either turn left or right. Let him do something, because if he's just gonna run straight, he's gonna be the next John Ross. That's all he's gonna be.
Yeah. So shut down Kelsey. Limit turnovers, and make sure you have a QB spy on Mahomes to not let him out of the pocket
during that key point in the game where he likes to scamper for 15 yards because teams like to let him do that. And then everyone's looking at each other like, "Oh, he was your responsibility. He was your responsibility."
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then they win by 3, and then we have to hear for a whole other week how they're the greatest dynasty known to man.
Well, Buccs McGee, as kickoff nears, I'm going to prepare myself for crying into my pillow tonight.
Hey, man, you got to be positive, man. You never know. You could be the Sam Darnold kryptonite. Come on, man. You got to be positive.
A lot of teams have been that over the last few years, so hopefully the trend continues.
Hey, man, he may see ghosts. You never know.
It's true. Blue and white ghost. Buccs McGee, week 9 was a wild one. Take us off air, sir.
Well, guys, it was another fun week. Good times. Pats fans, yeah, you knew what you got. Hell of an effort, though. Hell of an effort. Um, Dolphins, Bills fans, great game. Was highly impressed. Your teams are great. But at the end of the day, Cowboys fans, you guys just straight suck.